the interesting thing is that the team that runs the offense that might make running backs the most fungible is the team that employs the highest paid running back in San Francisco. And the question I have is if the Niners had somebody at the quarterback position that they were paying like the Rams pay Stafford and like the way that the Chiefs pay Mahomes and so on and so forth, would they sacrifice Christian McCaffrey? Would they treat the running back position like everybody else? And that they don't because they don't have the quarterback that is paid that money and they have that luxury? Do running backs need to seek out teams with quarterbacks on their first year contract for them to get paid? Because, I don't know if it's good for this league that running backs are more valuable in fantasy football than they are in reality football. Albert?
Here's what's fascinating about it, Rich. Like, McCaffrey would have been the cautionary tale until he got traded to the Niners, right? And now all of a sudden, he's the poster boy for paying a running back. So what does that tell you? Because they paid him in Carolina after 3 years, and then he couldn't stay on the field. He was great 17 through 19. They pay him in 20 and 21. He couldn't stay on the field, and then 2022 he's dynamite, and he comes and he gets traded, and now he goes to San Francisco, and now you see like the value of a running back who can give you something in the passing game too, and who can be kind of that chess piece for you, which I think is a huge part of it too, is like which of these guys can give you something in the passing game. And that's where a guy like a Kamara is so valuable. And even like the Barkleys and the Zekes and the Gurleys and the Mixons, like those guys are, they're not Kamara, but for bigger backs, they're really good in the passing game, So that's sort of I think that's the risk, for teams. Is like, okay, like the one thing, like even if I really love the player and I think that he's a unicorn at that position, the problem that I run into is it could be what happened to Christian McCaffrey, where Christian McCaffrey, I can remember when he was coming out, Rich, he had incredibly clean medicals, and then he stayed healthy his first 3 years in the league, and then he signs the contract, and all of a sudden he can't stay healthy for 2 years in a row. Saquon, same thing. I had a team tell me Saquon, his medical profile coming out of Penn State was similar to a kicker's. Like, that is how clean he was medically. And he gets to the league and he can't stay on the field, So that's part of it too. It's a complex thing, and I think we make a mistake sometimes of thinking this is like a straight line thing. There's a lot that goes into it. Obviously, these are tough decisions to make. Now, I would argue that if you're going to pay Saquon, say, $14 or $15 million a year, right? Mm-hmm. You're basically paying him what the Broncos pay Cortland Sutton, what the Raiders pay Hunter Renfrow.
Exactly.
And I don't think
that's what I'm saying. Is it's apples to apples, and so that's the thing. We had Austin Eckler on the show last week. He's like, I'm making the same as a third wide receiver on the team. It pisses me off, and it should. Damn well it should. It should piss off anybody in any line of work, and that's the whole thing I don't understand. I think receivers are coming out of college right now at an alarming rate. And so are wide receivers next? Could they be the next running back group? Or this is just, the tight ends are already becoming the next running back group? But I understand, that tight ends are valuable, and we see how terrific they are with their university and everything in June. But what's next? Could receivers be next on this hit list?
And you know what I think the other thing that here's what I think it's just worth everybody paying attention to this part of it. I think analytics are a huge part of this. So many teams have built out analytics departments now,
right?
And so it's not like guessing anymore. You know what I mean? Like in a lot of cases, I know it's been going on in baseball forever, right? But no, we're not guessing. We're putting a value on your head. You know what I mean? Like, this is what we think you're worth, or this is the probability that you're going to, that contract's going to wind up looking like a good one for us, And this is across the board. This is happening. I think we're going to, the impact of analytics in the NFL, even though you can't see it because teams are very secretive about this stuff, I think is profound in a lot of different ways. And this is one of them, where positional value, I would say, has almost been overemphasized over the last few years, because owners are empowering analytics people, and the analytics people have data that backs up these sorts of decisions. And so, yeah, I mean, as you can, I mean, I know I sound like I'm all over the map, but it truly is something that, like, there's just so many different ways to take this. You know, I mean, I can remember. So, and I think this was 2016, 17, whatever. And I was at the Saints, and I was with one of their guys on the sidelines at one of their practices, and we're just catching up and everything else.
Yeah.
And he goes to me, he says, like, well, look at Michael Thomas out there. And he's like, you know, Mike's a great player for us. He's like, do you realize Mike touches the ball less than half as much as Mark Ingram does? Like, on what planet does it make sense that he's making, you know, 4 times as much as he is? And I thought about that, and he's like, that probably should count for something too. You know what I mean? Like, so it's just an interesting argument that has so many different tentacles to it, which I think is why it's so interesting for all of us to talk about it whenever one of these situations arises.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.